Hello, I'm Agatha Thrash, a staff physician at Uchee Pines Institute. At Uchee Pines, we encourage people to exercise. Have you ever considered the miracle of movement, that we can actually make a movement, that we can move muscles? Well, it's more than a miracle. It's also very practical for us to be able to move our muscles. During this next half an hour, we'll be talking with you about exercise and its benefits for the human body.
The following program presents principles designed to promote good health and is not intended to take the place of personalized professional care. The opinions and ideas expressed are those of the speaker. Viewers are encouraged to draw their own conclusions about the information presented. Welcome to Help Yourself to Health with Dr. Agatha Thrash of Uchee Pines Institute. And now, here's your host, Dr. Thrash.
Exercise is specific for the individual. Some people can exercise at a very rapid pace, others need a more slow pace. Some people can do very heavy exercise, others must do more mild exercise. Now, what we find in individuals who are exercising is that they tend to overdo. We overdo in a lot of things. We overdo in the way we eat, we overdo in our study, we overdo in our work, and of course we're prone to overdo when we exercise. We may try to keep up with someone else. We may try to beat the record that we have had in the past. Or we may have a certain goal that we have for ourselves, and so we really screw up the courage and we push ourselves and drive ourselves to the point that we have some kind of injury to the physical body. It may injure the heart, or it may injure the muscles, or it may injure the bones or joints. And in all of these, the person can be damaged by their great desire to overdo their exercise and to achieve something that they maybe are not equipped to achieve. Now, there are certain signs that you can watch that will let you know whether or not you have overexercised. Let me discuss a few of these for you. One of those is that you are tired after a good night of sleep. A night of sleep that you usually have a refreshing feeling and you know that you've been restored, but now, this night, you didn't get restored. You think back about the exercise you did yesterday and you may have to say, yes, I overworked or I overexercised yesterday. Then another thing that you can use to let you know whether or not you have overexercised is your pulse rate. If your pulse rate is faster in the morning after a night of sleep than it was when you went to bed the night before, then the chances are pretty good that you have overexercised, and that is the problem that you're having with that. Now, another indication that you have overexercised is that you're aching in your trunk or in your extremities when you go to bed. Have you ever noticed when you have had to walk a great distance, or you have overdone the exercise and you know you have, that your legs ache and you want to move them in the bed, and your trunk hurts somewhere, maybe your back, or you can't get in a comfortable position, and it takes you quite a while to get settled down to go to sleep. That can be from overexercising, and if that is the case with you, then you can know that you have probably overdone it there. In such a case, you may be too tired to go to sleep, so it may take you half an hour when usually it only takes you 3 or 4 minutes to go to sleep. Then another thing that's a sign of overexercising is something that people are usually sort of proud of and tease about, and that is that they feel tender in their muscles. And they sort of pass it off with a laugh and say, well, I overdid the exercise. But actually, when your muscles are tender, that's an indication that you have been overexercising, and of course it isn't good for you to do that. Now, there are also some signs of stress in the person who is overdoing exercise, and these signs of stress are the usual signs of stress for emotions or for overdoing or for any other kind of thing that causes us to have stress. This may be a fast pulse, an increase in the blood pressure, or it may be anxiety or irritability. All of those are signs of stress. Sometimes people have certain facial things that they do as a sign of stress. They may bite the lips, or they may squint the eyes, or do something with the neck muscles. All of these can be signs of stress. Now, with me today to discuss this matter of exercise is one of our health educators at Uchee Pines, John Champion. And John Champion will be talking with you about some matters having to do with exercise. John Champion.
Thank you, Dr. Thrash. We're told that perfect health requires perfect circulation. And perfect circulation requires activity. We cannot have perfect circulation unless we are doing something. Muscles are indication that we have something that we can use. God has provided for us useful labor as an exercise. Useful labor was designed to strengthen the body, to expand the mind, and to develop the character. That was for Adam, and it is also for us today. And we can see that there's a great need for us to have the same thing today. All of the muscles in our bodies need some sort of exercise. Not exercising the body reduces our strength, reduces our sense of well-being, reduces our circulation, and causes us to just feel badly sometimes. We need to have our bodies in the best possible shape so that we can enjoy life and do the things that God has called us to do. We're going to go to the screen now and look at some of the benefits for exercising. Benefits of exercising: increases muscular strength. This is very positive, and many men like this, but women like it also. Muscular strength is needed to carry on the duties of life. Now, it does not necessarily mean that we have to be weightlifters in order to increase our muscular strength, but there should be a point where that is optimum, where we feel comfortable that the things that we have to do in life can go on, and we can carry them out pretty well. Increase also muscular mass. Now, this is where a lot of men are very much interested in. But ladies, you can also increase the muscle mass to where it is comfortable to you. You don't have to increase the resistance of the things that you're doing. You don't have to start picking up 150 pounds or 200 pounds. But if whatever you're doing, it will reach a certain size and a certain mass for that kind of exercise, and then it can stay right there, and you don't have to look like you are muscle bound. Also, that increases endurance. We need the endurance to continually increase until that reaches optimum for us too. We need to be able to have strength for the entire day of labor, work, and activities that God has called us to be engaged in. Our bodies are strengthened. The cartilage becomes thicker by exercise, and also strengthens the tendons and ligaments. Now we're going to look at our next graphic, which will show you more of the benefits. That increases bone mass, and that's good for the ladies especially who might be susceptible to osteoporosis. Decreases the amount of fat tissue, which is another benefit for all of us. It makes it easier for our hearts to take care of the needs of our bodies. Increases number of the mitochondria. Those are those little powerhouses that are inside our cells to help our body to function more efficiently. And also it increases the glycogen deposits, thereby reducing the sugar that is in our system. There are many benefits of exercises, and we'll talk about more of them in just a moment. Dr. Thrash?
I appreciated that. I especially enjoy the physiology of muscles, because as we study that, we come to understand that not everything has to be accomplished by one type of exercise, but we need to do a wide variety of exercises, and people need to have imagination and ingenuity in deciding what kind of exercise they're going to do. Take, for instance, the woman who, or the man also, who is bound to a wheelchair. They can't move the legs. They can still, if they're able to move the arms, they can still do exercises that involve the upper extremities in any way that they can move those, and they should do those. They should have a certain routine that they go through. And also, let's say the person can't move the shoulders or the elbows very well. they might still be able to use something like this. These are hand exercisers, and the person can just do squeezing of a hand gripper, such as this. These can be purchased from any variety store or department store, such as the discount stores. Has been shown that simply squeezing one of these hand squeezers will make it so that a person's likelihood of getting cataracts will diminish rather greatly, and also the likelihood that a person would get glaucoma, which is an increase in the pressure in the eyes. That also is greatly decreased by simply doing such a small thing as that. Sometimes women tell me, well, I can't exercise because I live in a dangerous neighborhood. Well, I do appreciate that, and there are several things that a person can do if they live in a dangerous neighborhood. One is get a companion. Sometimes that can be very helpful, especially if that companion is a dog. Sometimes a dog can be helpful, as most people who are intent on doing you some injury will think twice before attacking you if you have a dog with you. But then sometimes it's the dog that's the problem. And if so, then you can get one of these things, which is a mace gun. And this little mace gun is standard. You can buy this at any department store. And it has a lock on it so that it can't accidentally be detonated. But if you just turn it so that you turn off the little trigger, then you can spray it. And of course, it then is very irritating to the eyes and nose and mouth. But once you do that, you need to be prepared with something else, such as a whistle. If you have a whistle, then you can turn and make your way away while you whistle, and that draws attention to you. And but know that you might have a companion to the individual that you have sprayed the mace on, and that person or that animal might put some pursuit. So be ready to make another spray with the mace gun if you need to. Now, I've been interested in the fact that since I was in medical school, we have changed our attitude quite a lot concerning diseases that we used to forbid exercise in. Let me just mention a few of these that are instances where we used to forbid exercise and now we do recommend exercise. One is congestive heart failure. I remember very well that we used to tell people, you just sit around and enjoy reading and enjoy socializing and call on the telephone and watch TV while you keep your legs elevated so that your feet won't swell. And walk as little as you can. You can walk to the bed, and you can walk to the table, and you can walk to the bathroom, but that's about it. And but now we tell people that they should do a little exercise. Nothing that's strenuous, but it should be done every day, and should be a little bit progressive so that you can increase the capability of the heart to contract and also keep other parts of the body in good health. And another area that we used to forbid exercise is hepatitis. I remember very well when we had the patient to lie down right there and stay there for 5 weeks until your liver enzymes and liver functions come back to normal. Now we don't do that. We have the person have a certain amount of exercise, and they do much better. The hepatitis gets better quicker, and their liver function tests come back to normal much quicker. Another area is in tuberculosis. When I was in medical school, we put the patient to bed. If they coughed, we considered that exercise, and so we gave them an anti-cough medicine such as codeine so that they wouldn't cough. We didn't want them to move at all. They could hold a book and read, but that was done in bed for the most part. Once in a while, we'd let them read sitting up. They had certain days a week that they could sit in a chair for a certain number of minutes or hours, but not very much exercise. Now we have people with tuberculosis to exercise. Then, after childbirth. After childbirth, we had the woman to lie right there in bed, and it wasn't too long ago, but it was before my time in medicine, when the woman stayed in bed for 6 weeks. That was 40 days she stayed in bed, or that at least is what the doctors recommended. Now we have the person up the same day. Usually they stay in bed for the first hour without moving around a lot, but then after the first hour after childbirth, then we get them up and we have them moving around. Hypertension is another one. We used to tell people with hypertension, if you exercise, it's going to make your blood pressure go up. And that is true, that it may go up some. We don't want it to go up a lot, and sometimes a blood pressure reading during or while the person is exercising or just after can tell us how much the person with hypertension should exercise. Another area where we tell people now to exercise that we didn't once tell them, and that's in depression. Now we know that exercise in depression is one of the primary treatments for depression. Also being very regular in one's habits and getting to bed on time, getting up early in the morning and going to bed early in the evening will do more for the person who has depression than most any other treatment that we know. Now, there's another one, and that's if you're retired. Once, when people were retired, we would say to them, you deserve a rest, so we want you just to sit there and rest. You don't have to turn your hand to even swat a fly. Just sit there and rest. Or take your fishing equipment down by the bank of a river and just sit there and fish. But don't do any exercise. You don't have to move. Just enjoy what you do without doing any movement at all. Now, there are more things about exercise, and John Champion is going to tell you some more things about the fine points of exercise. John Champion.
One of the points that's very important is that exercise neutralizes stress. We live in a very stressful world today. You turn on the news, you look down the street, you read the newspaper, and the stress level goes up. But exercise helps that. And so God wants us to have that kind of activity that will bring down the stress in our lives and give us a better heart rate. We're going to go to the screen again and look at a few more points. More benefits of exercise. It promotes growth. Not only little children, but teenagers also need to exercise. There are some who have become bookworms or couch potatoes, and they're not getting what they need, and they won't reach their full maturation standard as if they would do if they were exercising. It also increases oxygen to the body. That's a very important aspect of exercise. Helps us very much to feel better and to get rid of waste. It speeds recovery from surgery or any kind of injury. Actually, it allows the body to recover very quickly. It reduces blood pressure, a very meaningful experience for most of the people in the United States today and in Western countries. Blood pressure is a real problem among us. So exercise helps us to reduce that blood pressure, and it improves collateral circulation. What a blessing exercise is for us. Let's go to the next one now. And we see that it reduces clotting. More benefits of exercise. And also reduces blood cholesterol. Blood cholesterol is a real problem among us here in the United States. And this is a real blessing to reduce that cholesterol level. The cholesterol level is getting higher and higher among us as we have been looking to our plates for the help. Now there's one more slide that we have here, and this is when you're exercising, you need to have a targeted heart rate, and it is brought about by 220 minus your age times 0.66. That's your target heart rate. That's what you want to be looking for. As you exercise, you continue to exercise, you will be able to bring your resting heart rate down. And that's good. If you can get your heart rate down where it's not working quite as hard, in the 60s is fine, 50s. There's one gentleman, he had his down in the 40s. He's very athletic, And most people will not have their pulse rate down in the 40s. But in the 50s and 60s, it's excellent to reach for if you're young. If you're older, it'll be a little bit higher. Dr. Thrash?
Now, some people exercise to the point that they injure themselves, especially is that true with people who do competitive sports. And I have here something that I think you will be interested in. It is a knee cartilage. This knee cartilage shows a tear in a place where you would not expect it to be, because of the fact that the individual who owned this knee cartilage before it was sent to me as a pathologic specimen, this person got a tear right there in this knee cartilage. Knee cartilages are very susceptible to having a problem with competitive sports. And so I recommend to people who want to have some kind of physical exercise that they by all means not do competitive sports. There are many kinds of sports that a person can do that will make life pleasant and enjoyable, that don't involve competition. And competition is much more likely to cause the person to get injured because of the drive of the game and the determination that the person has to make some kind of very special score or mark for themselves, and that of course brings the person to have an injury. So generally speaking, I don't recommend competitive sports, especially as this so for children. Teach your children to enjoy the non-competitive sports, hundreds of them, hundreds of ways to express oneself other than that of having competitive sports. Older people, those who are quite elderly, need to avoid jolting themselves, and that would be jumping exercises, or that is with a heavy jolt, or running exercises. Those can be a problem for the elderly. I have a report here done by some people in Canada that showed that individuals who had jolting exercises, or especially that had a single very severe jolt, got a stroke from that. And it is a fact that many people who have strokes have the stroke to be preceded by some kind of jolting or sudden movement, especially if this jolting or this sudden movement is during or after stress. Now, some people get some kind of pain in the body, in the skeleton, and they say, I know that aspirin will be good for my pain, and so I'm going to take an aspirin for this pain that I have here or there. I don't recommend that. We should do either ice or heat treatments to a pain in the skeleton brought on by some kind of exercise problem, and use that instead of aspirin. Let me just read some of the things that aspirin is noted for. I'll just read something that is an excerpt from New England Journal of Medicine, or as an abstract from it. Aspirin can be dangerous, and even conservative estimates reveal that it is responsible for as many deaths as AIDS every day. Well, that puts it in a little bit different light about aspirin, so we need to be careful about that. In addition to that, aspirin can cause blindness, the so-called macular degeneration that older people get. Stomach and intestinal ulcerations are also quite common in people who use aspirin. And a certain amount of bleeding is expected every day in people who use aspirin, so that a test for blood in the bowel movement is not possible as a general rule in people who have aspirin as a part of their daily medication. And strokes are also more likely to occur in people who are chronic aspirin users because of the fact that it encourages bleeding. And so a bleeding episode might be expected in an individual who who takes aspirin all the time. Now, we can build up too much iron in the body, And it's an interesting thing that exercise will help us to reduce the iron level if the iron level is too high. But if your iron level is too low, exercise can also help you bring up your iron level in the blood. So your hemoglobin, which is a good marker for the iron level in the body, in the blood, the hemoglobin will go up with exercise if you need it, or come down with exercise if that's what you need. And so we recommend that people who have either extreme of iron disorder in the blood, that they remember that exercise can be a very good way that they help that. Now, the role of exercise in clot prevention has been mentioned already, and one of the interesting things about that is that it reduces platelet stickiness and makes it so that platelets don't stick together as well as they once did. It increases mental abilities, and it reduces the cognitive decline that elderly people have as they get older. Of course, it's a help in weight control, and it's an interesting thing that it even helps people with such disorders as Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's disease to slow down these diseases. Now, it may be that we cannot stop Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, but we can slow down the process so that the person remains functional and remains in the workforce much longer than could be expected otherwise. Now, sometimes it's not possible for you to exercise right after a meal, which is a good time to put mild exercise. And remember that singing is also exercise. So for individuals who are housebound or chair-bound or bed-bound, remember that singing is a good exercise and help them to sing very frequently. Sometimes people may need to get a massage, which is one form of passive exercise. Probably my very favorite form of passive exercise is that of the massage. We should also try to use every opportunity that we can to exercise, such as hanging out clothes rather than using a dryer, or every time the telephone rings, stand up to answer it rather than answering it without standing up. And so we can see that there are a lot of very good things that we can do to increase the opportunity that we have to move. And just moving, just being active, can be a most important thing in helping you to get the benefits of exercise.